Hey guys, welcome to Smack Talks Raw vs SmackDown, the go-home show before SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer. And we have to see which show won for this week. Was it Raw or was it SmackDown? Well, let's see in these reviews. Now, if you are new to the channel and you like what you see, don't forget to like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. Now that's all said and done, let's hit the music, let's get on with the review. So unfortunately we had to start Raw with a minute silence for all the victims of the mass shootings which have been going on in America. Once that was done, we did get something new. We saw the new intro for Raw, which looked absolutely amazing. So again, they've done a fantastic job on there. Before Michael Cole, Corey Graves and Renee Young could get on with doing the intro and a recap of what's been happening, they were interrupted by none other than Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe was absolutely irate. He wanted an apology from Roman Reigns because he pretty much had his name through the mud because of what happened to Roman on SmackDown Live last week. And then obviously Michael Cole and Corey Graves were trying to explain to Samoa Joe 86% of the WWE universe just think that it wasn't an accident and it was an attack on Roman. Obviously Samoa Joe with the best line goes, "I just stood appalled and 86% of the WWE universe are idiots." I do agree. So it was great. Joe said once Roman is in the building, when he turns up, he wants an apology off him and he will even stop the show if need be until he gets his apology. So I thought this was a great start. I think Samoa Joe just absolutely frustrated. Again, this makes sense. If you're the number one suspect and you haven't done anything, you want an apology, and that's what Samoa Joe wants. He wants his name cleared by Roman Reigns. So for me, I thought it was a different start to the show. I thought Samoa Joe was absolutely fantastic, and it is realistic. If my name was being classed as someone who has been linked to something like this, I would want my name cleared and an apology as well. So for me, I'm going to give this opening start a 2 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had a tag team match where we saw Becky Lynch teaming up with Charlotte Flair to take on Natalya and Trish Stratus. This was an interesting match to say the least. Natalya was the only one on her team to compete throughout the whole match. Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, obviously they still have that dislike to each other is the best word to describe it. There's still a lot of anger to each other, obviously after Becky winning at WrestleMania. Charlotte wanted to show off why she is the queen of all eras to Trish Stratus. That's why throughout the whole match it was mostly Charlotte pretty much dominating the match. Natalya decided to get a little bit more offensive into the match herself. Then Becky Lynch got into the match. There was some hard tags between Becky and Charlotte, which you did see. Becky finally got into the match. Charlotte decided to walk away after Becky tagged herself in because of Becky's aggressive tag to her. Natalya used this to try to pin Becky Lynch. Then she tried to put her into the sharpshooter, which she managed to do. Becky managed to get herself to the ropes. Hold on. Then Natalya, so the referee's there trying to pull Natalya off her. Natalya's not having any of it. The referee has to call the match. Natalya is refusing to let go of the sharpshooter. Trish Stratus has to get Natalya off her, and that ends the match. Charlotte and Becky win the match by disqualification. Again, this is much more of a Natalya turning heel than obviously they want to turn Becky. Becky's been very aggressive in this whole feud as it is, but you can see Natalya being more and more aggressive, but Natalya seems to be turning more heel, where Becky's been, Becky. She's aggressive. Obviously, they're still classing her as a baby face, but she's still very aggressive, where Natalya, she's become more and more aggressive to a stage where she's feeling more like a heel. Trish Stratus did help Becky Lynch up after the match. I thought this was an okay match. We didn't get to see Trish Stratus in the ring. It was more Charlotte showing off, and then after that it was more an aggressive Natalya after this. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. Next up, we had the match of the night, in my opinion. Probably the match of the week was Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, with Zelina Vega in Andrade's corner. And this, again, was a fantastic match. Both guys have chemistry. We've seen it in SmackDown last year. But again, they had time to use and really showcase why these two are one of the best wrestlers in the company. Rey Mysterio, when you see Andrade versus Rey Mysterio, you also, I think, honestly, a lot of fans go, this is going to be a damn good match, and that's what we got straight away. Rey Mysterio and Andrade managing to reverse so many times, and let's be honest, there were so many reversals on here, it looked like a part of 2K. That's how many times they were just reversing each other's moves on each other. Andrade looked like he was about to win several times, with Rey Mysterio as well hitting the 619. By the end though, Zelina Vega did get involved when Rey did hit the 619, trying to go for the frog splash. Zelina Vega did distract him, giving Andrade enough time to get his legs up. Zelina also hit Rey Mysterio when the referee was distracted with Andrade. This allowed Andrade to hit that hammerlock DDT to get the victory. Again, this was a fantastic match, and I think it was the right decision to give Andrade the victory as well. Andrade did still try and go for the mask during the match as well, which still continues that storyline between Andrade and Rey Mysterio. So for me, I'm going to give the match itself a 3 out of 5 stars. Both guys were absolutely fantastic, and it is possibly the must-watch match of the week. Of Raw for a lot of fans is the 24/7 championship part. This was Mike Kanellis and his wife Maria Kanellis. They were at the OBGIN, obviously to check on the baby and everything like that. Maria's on the mat. She's on the bench, you know, getting ready to be seen by the doctor. Mike's there holding her, stroking her, and next thing he knows, he lays on top of her. 1, 2, 3. Mike Kanellis wins the 24/7 championship. His wife is absolutely annoyed. This is fantastic. I really like that. I was expecting R-Truth to win the title in like a couple of months' time when Maria's about to give birth. That's when he pins her, but no. And then when Mike's celebrating in the lounge, R-Truth, dressed in drag, drops the baby, throws it at Mike. Mike catches it. R-Truth quickly pins Mike Kanellis. He wins the 24/7 title. R-Truth is now our 24/7 champion yet again. I do like R-Truth. When R-Truth does silly things like this, and we've got Mike Kanellis getting involved, I really am looking for Drake Maverick to come out next, because these three somehow have just managed to make the 24/7 title so entertaining, so themselves, and it's been great to see. So for me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars because I was laughing my head off in this whole segment altogether. Next up, we had Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman cutting a promo against Seth Rollins. This is all because of Brock Lesnar's vicious attack on Seth Rollins. Paul Heyman pretty much states if Seth turns up at WrestleMania, he will have more balls than brains itself. This obviously led to Seth Rollins limping out with a steel chair. He tries to go for Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar obviously just goes for his I'd say chest, kicks him in the chest. He starts beating down on him, F5s him, continuously beats the crap out of Rollins. Rollins is already in no fit state. Seth is getting, you know, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar walked away. We have a commercial break. Then we get back to Seth in the ring. Seth takes the mic off someone and he just states, but is it worth it? Is it worth him going for all this pain and all this agony just to win the Universal title? Something he really cares about is wrestling and putting on great shows. And that's story trying to tell here. Brock Lesnar does not care about WWE. Seth Rollins is the guy who cares. And I see a lot of fans are turning against Seth Rollins for his social media stuff and all that. But the character itself, the actual character of Seth Rollins, I think is very entertaining. He is a sympathetic babyface in my opinion, and I think what they're doing with Seth is working on in the ring. But yeah, Seth says it's always going to be worth it, and then he's carried away. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. I get that they wanted one last encounter with each other before SummerSlam. Do I see Seth winning the title at SummerSlam? It's very difficult to see, to state, because obviously we want Seth to win. I don't think anyone wants a long reign of Brock Lesnar again, but we'll have to wait and see. But for the promo itself, Paul Heyman's promo was always good. Seth Rollins limping out, selling those injuries was fantastic. I mean, his quick little promo itself was actually good as well. So as like I said, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5 stars. Next up, again, we had the Viking Raiders versus local talent. Again, I keep saying this, and I will keep saying this. I want the Viking Raiders to challenge for titles. I want them to actually take on real teams in Raw or SmackDown. I would love to see the Viking Raiders versus AOP. AOP are doing absolutely nothing now, and we could actually have a fantastic match between 2 big teams taking each other on. That would be something we haven't seen on either brand. But no, we're going for local talent again. I'm going to give us a 1 out of 5 stars. I wasn't interested in seeing it, and I was just disappointed about the Viking Raiders, who are such a good team, they're just not being used properly just yet. We did get a brilliant video package tribute to Harley Race, who did pass away this week, so that was great. I'm glad that they did it both on Raw and SmackDown, that they did do the tribute video. It was the same tribute video on Raw and SmackDown, but it's good that they actually did, you know, mention it, and they've made a big deal about Harley Race's career, not just WWE Harley Race, but AWA Harley Race and WCW Harley Race, where he was a manager of, you know, Lex Luger and Vega, you know. So for me, it was good to see that. So for me, I'm not going to score this, but I think this is great about WWE. I've actually put some effort in and really tribute a man whose legacy is not outside of WWE, in my opinion, but really did highlight how important he was to the world of wrestling. Next up, we had a special guest referee match where we saw Cedric Alexander versus Drew McIntyre. The special guest was none other than Kurt Angle. He was back in his hometown. He got a massive pop when he came out. Before the match started, though, there was a backstage segment with Kurt Angle and the Street Profits. They were all drinking milk and stuff like that. Drew threatened Kurt and just said, if you've got to keep it in the middle on all this lot. I remember last time we were in the ring together, I made you tap out to your own, you know, your own finisher. So obviously Kurt came out, he got a big pop, and then we had Cedric Alexander coming out. He didn't even get to the ring. Drew McIntyre just absolutely just went after Cedric Alexander. Both men went after each other. They both took each other out. The lights go out as well, and then the Fiend turns up. That's right, Bray Wyatt's Fiend turns up and uses the Mandolin Claw on Kurt Angle yet again. This is another legend he's taken out. Interesting though that again today, Bray Wyatt sent a tweet to Kurt Angle stating how much of a fan he was of Kurt, and it's nothing personal, it's just that he, you know, it's something he has to do. And I always find that really weird, like you've got the Bray Wyatt Twitter things where he is talking to The Rock and sending tweets to Kurt Angle and Mick Foley and apologising to him for pretty much killing him. But yeah, this was awesome. The Fiend is just over, and I found this really, you know, I found this interesting. I really like that the Fiend is going after legends. If he's not going after Finn, he's going after these legends. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had the New Day versus the OCs, Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson. We had AJ Styles on ringside on their side, watching on. The match didn't even really get started. The bell rang, then Xavier Woods started the match with with Luke Gallows, I believe. Then AJ Styles got involved, and the match got kind of thrown out straight away. This led for Ricochet to come out to help the New Day fight off the OC. This turned into a 6-man tag team with Ricochet teaming up with the New Day members Big E and Xavier Woods, taking on the OC of AJ Styles, Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson. And this match was actually really entertaining. So I'm not really going to give a score for the first match because it didn't happen. It led on to this match. But it was a good match. You saw the chemistry between the OC really working well. I like that everyone on the OC side is using these dirty tactics. I like that Luke Gallows has gone back to his traditional, like he's painted his face again like he used to do back in New Japan. That's awesome to see. That's an homage to his Bullet Club times, and they even mentioned it as well when they talk about Gallows wearing that back in Japan. So it is there. It is stated that he used to wear this stuff. It looks like the New Day and Ricochet are going to win. They overpower Gallows and Owens. So it's a close match for a while, but the babyfaces start to get a little bit more momentum. Big E takes him there. Luke Gallows takes out Big E. Luke Gallows is the main guy in this whole match. He's the linchpin. He takes out Big E. He takes out Xavier. He takes out Ricochet. And then Gallows and Anderson hit the magic color on Xavier Woods to get the victory for the OC. So for me, I'm going to give this match a 2.5 out of 5. I like that we're getting to see a much more aggressive Luke Gallows in the match. Karl Anderson and AJ Styles were a lot more aggressive. Ricochet coming out to do the same made sense. But for me, I would have just skipped the starting bit and just had it as a 6-man tag team match at the start. I think that would have saved a little bit of time on the show. Next up, we go back to Samoa Joe's situation. So Samoa Joe is backstage. He gets told that Roman Reigns is just near the building. He goes to the ring. He takes a chair, he takes the mic, and he says he's shutting down Raw until he gets an apology from Roman Reigns. He's waiting and waiting and waiting. A backstage hand comes up to him. He says that Roman is just coming into the car park, so Samoa Joe just runs from the ring and gets to the car park. Then finally we catch up to Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns in the car park. Samoa Joe is shouting at Roman Reigns. They start having like an argument between the two of them, and next thing we know, Roman looks up, he sees something coming at him, he jumps back in the car gets hit by another car. Samoa Joe looks concerned. And then this other car drives off. You see during the commercial break, they do show you what happens. Joe's checking up on Roman Reigns. Triple H even comes out to check up on him as well. This is a concern Samoa Joe. Joe usually doesn't give a crap, but obviously, someone nearly trying to kill someone, Joe will beat the crap out of you and put you near to death, but he won't try and kill you. And that was interesting. It was an interesting turn on Samoa Joe there, which obviously he's a heel and he will still be a heel, but this was a nice change of pace. Like, yeah, I'm a bad guy, but still I don't want someone to die. And this was interesting. It still builds up that mystery. Who's trying to kill Roman Reigns is the question. So for me, I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5 stars. I think everyone involved in it was absolutely fantastic. Next up, we had a Fatal 4-Way elimination match. It was a Fatal 4-Way tag team elimination match where we saw the Kabuki Warriors of Kairi Sane and Asuka with their manager Paige taking on the Iconics, the women's tag team champions, versus Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. The winners of this match will be the new women's tag team champions, even though it's really weird they said Raw women's tag team champions. So does that mean we're going to get a SmackDown women's tag team champions at some point? Because it seems like that's what's going to happen, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, the graphics definitely said Raw women's, so I think someone's either made a mistake on the graphics card again, or we're definitely having a new title added to SmackDown. Interesting enough, they also put Asuka down as Io Shirai, who's on NXT. Well done, graphics team. But yeah, this was a decent match. All these women, all 8 women, actually had time and they actually got to show off what they wanted to show off. We had the first surprise elimination when Mandy Rose pinned Billie Kay, which was I know it was meant to be tagging, but it just didn't seem like anyone was tagging. It was just like a free-for-all at the start of this match, and it seemed like that's how it was going to be. Very chaotic, and then it got kind of after the first elimination, then we went to commercial break, everyone started tagging in and tagging out. But yeah, Mandy Rose pinned Billie Kay, and that meant that the Iconics were eliminated. Definitely meant that we got new women's tag team champions. Then Asuka made Mandy Rose tap out as well, which led it to the Kabuki Warriors versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, which was interesting because we saw Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville tagging between Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss because they just didn't want to take on Asuka at all. The match itself was a hard-hitting match. It looked like the Kabuki Warriors were going to win the title. It looked like Kairi Sane was going to hit the insane elbow. Nikki Cross got involved, distracted. She pushed Kairi Sane to the floor while the referee was distracted. Alexa Bliss took advantage and hit the Twisted Bliss to pin and now become the new women's tag team champions. Again, I said this match had a lot of time, which was great. I think everyone got to shine a little bit in this match, apart from the Iconics. It was a bit of a shame that the Iconics really got eliminated quite early on, but I think it was time for a title change, and I think it was the right decision having them be eliminated first. So for me, I'm going to give this match a 3 out of 5 stars. I think everyone involved did fantastic. Last but not least, the main event of Raw was Miz TV. It was a special Miz TV contract signing. We had the Miz come out with the Heartbreak Kid himself, Shawn Michaels. Dolph Ziggler comes out. He comes across. They cut a quick promo against each other. Dolph signs the contract, and then the Miz turns it on him. And I really like it when the Miz does this. The Miz goes, "I can't wait to get my hands on you on the Raw after SummerSlam." And Dolph's like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, you didn't read the contract, did you? It's not me you're fighting. It's someone else. Someone who doesn't have that many SummerSlam moments left." So Dolph looks at Shawn Michaels. They're eyeing each other, and Shawn just goes, "It's not me, kid." And then next thing we know, Goldberg turns up. Dolph just gets out of the ring straight away, keeps away from Goldberg. He signs the contract, takes the mic and goes, "Dolph, you're next." Now, no matter what we say about Goldberg and Undertaker match, Goldberg still gets a reaction when he comes out. And even I still go, "Oh, it's Goldberg, it's cool." But oh, he's so bad in his last match. But it's so cool to see him. But it was so bad to see him. And it is that thing, the kid inside of you who watched WCW when Goldberg was huge. I mean, all this lot just remembers that Goldberg. So every time you hear the music, you're just like, "Oh, it's Goldberg," and you just love it. I thought this was a great twist. I thought it was a great turn, and even with like last couple of minutes left, they used all their time perfectly. And the Dolph Ziggler selling off expression of Goldberg was fantastic. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we go to SmackDown Live for this week, and we had Charlotte Flair start the show off. She was cutting a promo against Trish Stratus. Obviously, she's her opponent at SummerSlam, stating that certain women just use excuses to leave the business, and Trish is exactly the same. She saw changes in the women's division was happening, and she knew she couldn't last, so she decided to take the easy route and become a mom. Then she shows a video package which was supposed to show the highlights of Charlotte Flair's career, but it was changed to being the highlights of Trish Stratus' career. Trish does come out. Trish is literally like, "Look, without me, there would be no women's evolution," which is kind of true. Her, Lita, Victoria, some of the women who really did wrestle back in the Attitude Era really did carve their spots in the women's evolution, and they should be thanked. And I think Trish is always going to be seen as one of the architects for the women's evolution, and so is Lita, and so is Molly Holly. These women were proper wrestlers in my opinion. They get into a bit of a bickering fight. Trish slaps Charlotte. Charlotte looks like she's about to hit her back, but instead she goes, "Welcome to your nightmare, Trish," and she just woos and walks away. I really like this promo. I think Charlotte and Trish really do have some good chemistry with each other, and I'm looking forward to Trish versus Charlotte at SummerSlam. I think that is a legendary match if they are given time. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. So next up we have Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. So Dolph comes out. It looks like Looks like Goldberg's coming out. Goldberg's music hits. Dolph comes out to Goldberg's music, he even does the backstage bit where he gets knocked on the door. He walks through the corridors. Then he gets in front of Rey Mysterio. Rey and him are about to have the match. The match doesn't even start, and Dolph Ziggler super kicks Rey Mysterio several times. He's beating down on Rey Mysterio. Officials are they can't even start the match. Ali comes out to save Rey Mysterio, so he super kicks Dolph Ziggler, and this leads on to a match between Dolph Ziggler and Ali. This is, again, this match should have had more time, and I don't understand. You know, when I saw the first one where it was Rey versus Dolph, I was like, damn, that's going to be a good match. I know that they're both great workers, they can both sell, and it's just going to be great high-flying techniques. And then when it was turned to Dolph versus Ali, I was like, yeah, that's fine substitution of this match. Again, Ali, a talented wrestler, and I want to see him versus Dolph. I think this will work. But we just didn't get the time for it, and that's a shame. Even though they only had a small amount of time, Ali's in-ring technique and Dolph's in-ring technique still got to shine a little bit, and that was an impressive amount still to tell me to give it a high enough score. Dolph did win the match with a swing chin music. He went for the swing chin at first, he misses, he headsbutts, or a little like a homage to his time with Drew McIntyre, and then super kicks Ali for the victory. I'm going to give this match a 2.5 out of 5. Right decision to give it to Dolph. He needs a victory before he goes on to taking on Goldberg, which is most likely going to be Goldberg winning in very short time. So for me, a 2.5 is the right score. Next up, we did get a backstage interview with Roman Reigns. He was talking about the incident on SmackDown Live last week and the car incident on Raw the night before, and he just talks about how, you know, if it's in the ring, he knows who's trying to hurt him, but when it's something like this where someone's hiding in the shadows and they're going for him, he's looking at all the footage and he's doing his own investigation. But he did make an apology to Samoa Joe, which got the biggest pop from the fans when he did apologize to Samoa Joe. He said, look, there's one person I definitely know, it wasn't Samoa Joe, he was there and he even made sure I was alright. So Joe, I'm sorry I put your name through the mud like this. That was great. I'm not really going to give this a score because I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to add it on to at the end when Roman does something else later on. But yeah, interesting to see this, you know, backstage interview where Roman seems a little bit like, you know, he's a little jumpy. Everything he seemed, he looked like he was watching his corners all the time, especially in the interview. So that was interesting. Next up, we had number one contender versus number one contender. It was Natalya versus Ember Moon. Again, this match should have had more time. When I saw this match was next on the show, I was like, oh damn, that's going to be a fantastic match. Both women are very talented. Natalya's a hard worker, she's really good, and Ember Moon is just absolute pure talent. So this is going to be fun to watch. And unfortunately, I didn't get to enjoy it because it was so short. They started off really well, and I was like, oh well, this is going well. And then we had both women take each other out, and then the minute I saw it, when Natalya started overpowering Ember Moon instead of trying to get her back in the ring, I was like, this is going out for a count out. And it did, it ended in count out. And then Natalya puts the sharpshooter on Ember Moon. Right, Ember's not tapping out, which is good. That's the right decision. Bayley comes out, she tries to pull off Natalya off her opponent at SummerSlam, and Natalya just walks away. Again, Natalya turning more and more heel, being more aggressive in this type of matching. Bayley does help her opponent up. Ember's very cute, you know, she knows after last week, after Bayley did the Bayley to belly on her, she can't really trust her, but Bayley is there just to help her. So for me, I'm going to give this match a 1.5 out of 5. It really didn't get started, and it really just highlighted more Natalya's heel turn than it did with Ember Moon being a number one contender. Next up, we had the Kevin Owens show with Shane O'Mac. This was interesting. So Shane comes out, he's about to get the best in the world intro, and KO just stops it, he prevents it. And he asked a question. It's a question he got asked on social media, which I have seen a few times, was why has KO put his career on the line when everyone else wants to see Shane put his career on the line, because that's what he wants. So KO put that to the question to Shane. If I put my career on the line, why are you not putting yours on? Shane went, because I'm too smart. I'm smarter than you, Kevin. And Kevin goes, you are smart. I'm not saying you're not, but he's trying to get him to agree. I think this is the way we're going to write out Shane or Mike. It's going to possibly lead to Survivor Series, so we've possibly got another few months with Shane O'Mac on TV. So this is my theory, we're going to have Team Shane versus Team KO at Survivor Series, where we're going to see it. I know that possibly won't happen now, because I know Fox wants SmackDown to be exclusive, and they're getting rid of a wildcard rule in quite a bit as well, and it's going to be SmackDown versus Raw again. But it would for me make more sense that we have Team KO versus Team Shane. If Shane loses, he has to leave the company. That's just me. That's how I would personally book Survivor Series. But yeah, they start getting more and more aggressive to each other. They start beating up on each other. Elias gets involved. KO stunners Elias on the commentating table. Shane sweeps KO's legs, pushes the commentating table on top of Kevin Owens, which wedges him in. He starts beating down on Kevin Owens, and does a baseball slide to Kevin Owens' face with a chair in his face as well. And that leaves the segment. I thought this was a really good promo between Kevin Owens and Shane O'Mac. I thought this really elevates their match a little bit more towards SummerSlam. It's already got that extra juice, Shane explained how many ways Kevin Owens could lose and have to leave the company, so that was interesting as well. So for me, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Next up, we had Sami Zayn come out. Sami was cutting a promo to Aleister Black, explaining that last week he put that challenge to Aleister Black for SummerSlam, because he saw Aleister was, he was lost and he needed saving. Aleister Black comes out. He's on the mic on the big screen, and he states, "No, Sami, our match isn't for SummerSlam. It's for tonight." And then Aleister Black comes out, and they have their match. I thought this was a great idea. Only thing is, I really look forward to Sami versus Aleister Black, because I thought if it's going to be like anything like Aleister versus Cesaro, where they've got some time and they're really going to steal the show, which they did, that would be fantastic. And I thought Sami and Aleister could do the same. The only downside to this was it was a TV match, so there's not enough time for both guys to actually, really steal the show, which is a shame, because they are two talented wrestlers. Aleister Black was completely in control. You saw Sami change momentum during the commercial break. Sami was more in control by the time he returned. Then Aleister Black started fighting back. He turns the tide, hits the Black Mass, and gets the victory over Sami Zayn. I'm going to give the match itself a 2.5 out of 5. It was still a decent match. It's just a shame that we're not going to see this at SummerSlam. Next up, we have the Firefly Funhouse with Bray Wyatt. He's got the little pig there eating all his sweets and stuff, and he states that Finn Balor is just like the pig. He does extraordinary things because he can, but it's not the right thing to do, and all this lot. And he says that, just like me, Finn, I've been hurting for way too long. I have hurt for so long, and now it's time for you to hurt like I have. And then we see the Fiend turn up, and he just does the "let me in," which is great. And I thought it was cool. It's a short promo. The Bray Wyatt stuff, you see the rabbity rabbit look up, and he sees Bray Wyatt, and he just disappears straight away. I like the little things. What is the Firefly Funhouse really? I want Rabbity Rabbit to explain what it really is. So for me, I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 stars. Good promo by Bray Wyatt yet again. Looking forward to Bray versus Finn Balor at SummerSlam. Next up, we had a tag team match where we saw the New Day versus Daniel Bryan and Rollins. And they still continue talking about Daniel Bryan's announcement. So Daniel hasn't announced what he was going to say yet on TV. And there's always been stipulations like he's going down to 205, he's going to Raw, he's retiring, all this lot. And no one can really work out what Daniel Bryan is trying to do. But let's get back to the match itself. It was actually a really good match. Xavier Woods and Daniel Bryan's chemistry was absolutely fantastic. Daniel Bryan trying to work with Big E again, just absolutely fantastic. Rollins getting involved in the match was absolutely fantastic. The Big E and Rollins just absolutely powerhouses trying to take each other out, which worked for me fantastically. This for me was the best match on SmackDown Live throughout the whole show, and that's a shame. Because there was a lot of matches with potential to be the best match, and on paper there would be better matches than this, especially the Sami Zayn and House of Black, but this one definitely had the time, and that was a good thing for it. It looked like the New Day was going to get the victory until Rollins had enough. He hits Xavier Woods with the steel stairs, which are on the side, and he takes out Big E as well. This ends in a DQ, so the New Day technically win, but Daniel Bryan and Rollins continue to beat down on the New Day. Daniel Bryan hits the flying knee on Xavier Woods. Rollins hits the Iron Claw on Big E, which is impressive by itself, and then that ends the whole segment. With Daniel Bryan and Rollins are still in the ring when we go to the last bit of the show, but we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, I'm going to give this itself, the match itself, a 3 out of 5 stars. Entertaining, and I think the DQ finish was the right decision in the end. And then we go backstage. So this is the last bit of SmackDown Live for the night, and it was Roman Reigns, and he's walking through the corridor and he sees the male changing room. Goes in and he kicks everyone out of a changing room apart from one person, Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy's in the locker room and he sits down on a steel chair and goes, "Buddy, I've seen you on the footage. I know you were in the corridor when I got attacked up last week. What? Was it you?" And Buddy's like, no, it's not me. He's kind of worried, and Roman's getting more and more frustrated. He goes, "Who was it?" And he doesn't give it up, and then Buddy just gets a little bit too cocky and goes, "Roman, even if I knew who it was, I wouldn't tell you." So Roman starts beating the crap out of Murphy backstage, throwing him around, putting him on the wall, holding him up, like, "Who was it?" And then he just mumbles, "Rollin." And he's like, "Daniel Bryan and Rollin?" He goes, "No, not Daniel, just Rollin." And you just see Daniel Bryan and Rollin in the center of the ring after their match against the New Day. Rollin looks unfazed. Daniel Bryan, you can see it in his face a little bit, like he's kind of like glimpsing in the back of his eyes, like on the side of his eyes, looking at Rollin like, "I didn't know about this." And Rollin just doesn't do well, and that ends the show. I thought this was cool. I liked, we don't often get to see much backstage stuff like this, and this felt very physical, very like, if someone was trying to attack me, I would want to know, and I would be this physical kind of style. So I really like this. So I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. Interested to see what happens at SummerSlam. Will Roman Reigns go after Rollin at SummerSlam? We'll have to wait and see, but very, very exciting. We'll have to find out. And there you go, guys. That was Raw versus SmackDown Live. Now, which show won for this week? Now, I think Raw did have the better show. I think we got the better match with Rey Mysterio and Andrade. I thought the 24/7 stuff was fantastic again, and I still think the women's tag team title match was fantastic as well. The Harley Race tribute was great as well. The Fiend attacking Kurt Angle, fantastic. So for me, I'm going to give Raw a 2.5 out of 5. I think that's a fair score for Raw. SmackDown Live, on the other hand, I felt there was so much potential in every match. It's just a shame that none of the matches really got started, apart from the New Day versus Daniel Bryan and Rollins, and that still ended in DQ. Again, it's interesting to see Natalya turning more and more heel in every show. The Kevin Owens and Shane O'Mac bit was great on that one, and in the backstage bit with Roman Reigns and Buddy Murphy was entertaining as well. But I still find it that SmackDown Live was a little bit lacking compared to Raw. So for me, I'm going to give SmackDown Live a 2 out of 5 stars. And there you go guys, that are my scores for the shows. But what was your favourite part of Raw versus SmackDown? Leave it in the comments below and use the poll to see which show, to vote for which show was best for you. If you do like these videos, please like, subscribe and press that bell to keep notified. And if you want to follow us on the old Twitter, it's at SmackTalk YouTube, that's a U and a tube. And if you want to follow me on the old Twitter, it's at Boise88. And I'll see you guys next time on SmackTalk Wrestling Reviews.